This part of the proceedings with great pride, and there is nothing glib, as the previous speaker said, about freedom of association, and in fact this bill is very aptly named. We frequently debate in this House the fact that bills don't sum up what the bill is about. This one certainly does. It's about a principle. It's about a principle that is very dear to the hearts of New Zealanders, and that principle is that of freedom. Freedom of association is something that every sector of society enjoys, except for the student population in New Zealand. There's been a removal of choice in years gone by from the student populations, not this bill being the removal of choice, as the previous speaker said. The current situation is one of compulsion. And if you listen to the speaker carefully, you would think that Mr Robertson was signalling that the sky would fall in the moment that students were really allowed to choose whether they want to belong to a student association or not. That won't happen. The sky didn't fall in 1993 when workplaces and workers in this country were given the choice of whether or not they wanted to belong to a union. What we're doing is removing compulsion from the only sector of society that is subject to it now to one where students will be able to choose whether or not they want to belong to an association. Freedom of association is absolutely what this bill is about. I received an email today, and this is relevant because the previous speaker also said, or tried to indicate, that every student association in the country was in favour of retaining the status quo, and that isn't the case. This email was from a president of a students' association, and they said, the reason I am sending this message is I am not the only student president that believes in voluntary student membership. They said, I've spoken to student associations and unions that are part of the New Zealand Union of Students' Associations and are against VSM. To me, this guy said, some of them are being loyal to NZUSA as far as their political careers are concerned. And that comes to the nub of this bill too, Mr Speaker, Mr Chair. Believe me, this president said, believe me, there are student bodies that are in full support of this bill. There are a number of them, and they have been silent. They have been silent because they have come under pressure from the NZUSA. We can't predict what might or might not happen when this bill comes into being, and it will, because freedom is something that is hard fought and students believe in it. And when students protested last week, they managed to number 20 last week, and 15 of those were employees of the NZUSA. Five of them were students. It's disappointing. It's very disappointing to hear from the previous speaker, someone who has been heavily involved in students' associations, that he thinks so little of students' associations that he doesn't think that they will survive. The smart students' associations, the ones that aren't opposed to voluntary student membership, are already getting on and planning for a future where they know they will be accountable, where they know that transparency is imperative, and where they know that they will have to communicate with the student body and ensure that they are providing students with services that they want. That, Mr Chair, is true freedom, and that is what this government is going to deliver to students.